In today's video, let's sort out this move you make where when you make your backswing, your initial takeaway, your club head ends up way on the inside with the club face fanning open, rotating open like I have it in this picture. If this is you, if you recognize yourself and you want to learn how to get rid of this move, you want to stop this inside takeaway with a club face opening, this video is for you. Let's get stuck in. We're going to have a look at why it happens, 2 primary reasons, and then an exercise for you to work on it and eliminate it from your game. Let's go. First things first, why is this happening? Why are you making an initial backswing, initial takeaway, where your club head ends up a long way behind you with the club face opening? So what is occurring? So really 2 main culprits. The first one, quite simply, if I'm in position like so, and this would be my setup position, but I'm bringing it up to horizontal height, what are you doing to make the club head excessively move behind you early is that you are starting to pronate, supinate the forearms quickly. So, said another way, imagine I'm holding a steering wheel here as a right-handed golfer. What is happening as I make my backswing too quickly, too early? I'm turning my steering wheel to the right, like so. If I get myself in position and do that, you'll see the effect. I'm turning my steering wheel to the right too quickly, and this is what happens. The club head ends up getting dragged inwards behind me like so. Okay, so that is the first thing, and you can see the effect it has on the club face. If I'm doing this and I start to turn the steering wheel to the right, start to pronate, supinate, then look what happens to the club face. It starts to point more and more to the right early on, and that is the club face opening, like so. Okay, so if I'm in position, I turn my steering wheel, I end up in this position right here with the club face sucked in behind me and the club face pointing upwards to the sky, way too much opening of the face. I'm going to end up with too much loft. I'm going to end up with some complications coming down that I'd really rather not have to deal with. So what are we looking at? Too much pronation, supination, and notice as I'm doing that how the left hand ends up almost on top of the right hand, above the right hand, above my trail hand, and notice how even the left forearm ends up higher than the trail forearm in the most exaggerated cases. So I'm here, most exaggerated case, and you see that right here. You see our club face has gone most inwards and opened. So that is the first big cause. You can't steer your steering wheel to the right as a right-handed golfer too much. The reality is though that this move does happen, so you're not necessarily doing it incorrectly in the sense you are meant to turn to the right, but you're meant to do it slowly, incrementally throughout the time and space of the backswing. What do we want it to look like? We want it to look like this. The hands, the club head are moving backwards, upwards, inwards on plane, like so. So at this point in time, the club shaft is pretty much in line with the left arm. The club head's maybe just a little bit to the left of the hands here as you're watching on the camera, and the club face is pointing a little bit more downwards. So the club face, you could describe it as club face pointing a bit more downwards towards the ground, towards the golf ball. You can see how the toes down a little bit. Sometimes you think of it, you hear the leading edge of the club here is perpendicular to the inclination of my upper body in relation to the ground. Okay, so the first reason why you go behind, pronation, supination, turning the steering wheel too early. It happens, but you're doing it too much, too soon. What's the second big cause of it? The second big cause of it is quite simply, as you make your backswing, you're making what I describe as a shoulder turn takeaway. So shoulder turn takeaway is very much when your shoulders start to rotate like this. There's a lot of rotation, but at the same time, that's not coupled with a lot of side bends, like so. If I do it from this view, there's a lot of rotation. Everyone gets sucked behind you inwards. Quite often you'll see the head start to translate backwards as you do it here. Instead of having some rotation, absolutely, but also marrying that up with a downwards motion of the shoulder like this. So your head stays still and you are side bending, extending and turning, not just turning. From down the line, side bending, extending and turning. So notice how my left shoulder is actually moving downwards towards the ground when I do this. Likewise, you can feel like your trail shoulder is moving up and forwards towards the target like this. It's not simply a case of rotating. That's going to sucker that club head too far to the inside. You have to have the side bend to accompany the rotation. Okay, so those are the two main reasons. One, too early pronation supination. Two, shoulder turn takeaway, where you make a flat backswing shoulder turn, no tilt. Okay, now how do we remedy this? Let's have a look. So first way, and I'm going to help you with the visuals here in terms of this shore set connectable. Okay, so I'm going to put this between my forearms, and I'm going to make sure my forearms are nicely in place where I'd like them to be. And the advantage of this is that I can grip the club as I'm doing it, and I can actually make a stroke. So I'm in position, I've set up. What I want you to notice is the position of the two rods. So at the moment, the two side rods are parallel to the ground, they are horizontal. Now what happens when you make a backswing and the club head gets sucked too far to the inside and you start to pronate, supinate, turn the steering wheel to the right? You'll see this. And what do you notice with the two rods? They are still parallel to the ground, right? They are right here. So as I go back, they are parallel to the ground. Like I said earlier, my left arm ends up a little bit above my right arm, left elbow a bit higher than my right elbow in the exaggerated cases. So what am I trying to do here? I'm simply trying to picture my wrists and elbows having a scenario where the left wrist stays lower than the right wrist, where the left elbow stays lower than the right elbow as I'm going back here. And obviously all these references for a right-handed golfer. As I'm doing that, you'll notice that the rods are no longer parallel to the ground, but they're angled downwards, almost on the plane of the club shaft at address. I do that again right here. The opposite move when I turn the steering wheel right there. Okay, so obviously this training aid is a great one for this, but you don't have to have the training aid. You have to have visuals for what this looks like. So you're looking for right hand above the left, you're looking for right elbow above the left when you get to club shaft parallel to the ground right here. Okay, those are your reference points. And again, film yourself. Unless you film yourself, you don't really know. You might feel like you're doing something, but in reality you're not. So that's the first thing I'd like you to try and become aware of, and use the camera, use the video to really try and ingrain an awareness of exactly where you are when you're doing it. Oftentimes this is going to feel like it's actually a one-piece backswing. Now it's not my favorite term because obviously all kinds of things are happening. Like I said, there is some pronation supination, there is some radial deviation, there is some trail arm flags, there are things happening. But if you are making a swing where you're going like this, all those things are likely happening much too quickly. So to you, it might feel like it's all very passive, very one piece. How does the butt end of the club end up going from here to up here? Well, quite simply because of the motion of the shoulder. Like so, the shoulder's not just moving across and back, it's moving down. And that feels like a one piece to a lot of people who have this issue. So that's the first thing you can do to try and sort it. Second exercise for you, I've got this little sponge ball here, and again, just to create a visual, and I'm going to put this so that you've got an even colour either side of that club shaft. And again, very visual, very good way of learning. I'm putting myself in position. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to make sure as I go back that the trail colour, the red colour here, stays on top of the other colour, stays on top of the yellow colour. So I'm in position and I don't want to end up with the yellow on top of the red, with the lead colour on top of the trail colour. I'm trying to keep the back colour on top of the club shaft like so. So again, if you have something like this you can put down, just create that visual. Feels like one piece, feels like my left shoulder's moving down, that colour is still pointing downwards. I know that's not going to be a million miles away from where I want to be. So again, trying to create some visuals. You will be able to do this in a hurry. Any questions? As usual, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to see some of your before and afters. Happy golfing.